Hi there all. Today's video is testing out a zinc coated carbon electrode. That's the carbon chip from the other video. It's had two of those plates, about that size, a little bit longer, dissolved, plated onto this carbon. Hopefully it's going all the way through. It's going right around the top and everything as well. So there's about 2 plates of zinc, and the electrolyte was the leftover tub. See the bubbles still holding out? The copper's all at the bottom. I just topped it up with some zinc sulfate and electroplated this. And the electrolyte we're going to use today is 1 molar of Epsom salts and 1 molar of zinc sulfate mixed into there 50-50. So I think there's about 60 mils of solution in there. And the other electrode is going to be just another plain piece of carbon chip. It's not as big and it's not formed as good, but we'll see how that goes, because I'm going to, after, depending on how well this performs, coat this one in copper and then redo the test. So I'll turn the meters on, drop that in the tub. Alright, get the other one. Press that spoon a little bit too hard then. Okay, got it. Alright, we're at 1.0 volts. See what a short circuit has in the thing. About 60 milliamps. It's on the 10 amp range. See if it runs the motor. Somewhat does 20 milliamps, but drops in voltage. Alright, I'll set the power supply to 2 volts. Alright, the analog meter's right on the 2 volt point. I'll charge it up for half hour. We'll start at small steps. Connecting the charge. We're only getting 90 milliamps. Setting the timer. Alright, I'll be back in a half hour and we'll see what that delivers. It may not deliver anything because of that other piece of carbon. I do have the bigger one, but I didn't want to use it yet for this test. Might do that after the test on the copper coating. Alright, I'll be back in half hour. Okay, we made it. It's just after 10 seconds or something, after half hour. Okay, I'll just reset the timer. Okay, disconnecting the load. See what it drops down to, probably 1. I'll change the meter to 200 milliamp. Alright, we'll run the load. If the load doesn't run for anything over 15 minutes, we don't bother putting it on the data logger. Okay, connecting to the load. 50 milliamps. I'll do 2 charges just in case. So that was a half-hour charge at 2 volts. It's only taking in like 30 milliamps, I think. I'll also try with an electrode from a D-cell graphite rod and a copper-coated carbon cell. And if that all fails, I'll try the original cell, which was working alright, the copper and the carbon. So we're at a minute. Don't think we're going to hit our 10 minutes, so it probably won't be worth putting it on the data logger. After the tests, I'm going to try how they perform with some urea in the solution. It's only got probably a gram of urea in the same mix which is in that tub. See if it does change anything. Well, I'll let this one run down and see what time we get. I'll let it run down to say 0.49 volts. Alright, be back when that happens. Well, somewhat missed the 0.49. We're only at 9 minutes run time. Alright, I'll cancel that experiment. I'll reset that clock. We'll give it an hour's charge at 2 volts and see what happens. Connecting the load. Alright, we're getting a little bit more milliamperage. Alright, I'll leave that running and I'll get back in an hour. Oops, hour and 5 minutes on charge. The water's not discolouring. So that's a good thing. Doesn't seem to be too many floaty bits at the bottom or anywhere. It's got some opaque looking stuff there. That's what the zinc sulfate looks like when it's sort of floating around. Okay, we'll see if 1 hour's charge has done anything different to it. Disconnecting the charge, resetting the timer. Well, our voltage, we're dropping quickly. Alright, we'll connect the load and see what we get. It's got to go for 10 minutes or we don't bother. Alright, a little bit more, 60 milliamps. It could be the plain positive carbon. Might just see if this bigger one does a better job next before we do anything else to the liquid. Like if we put copper in the liquid, we're going to have copper in there and it's going to be a bit better. So we'll test this for size wise. We're not at a minute yet. And we're still dropping, but we're up pretty well, 38 milliamps. The zinc looks like it's still holding on the carbon cell. It looks a bit fluffier. I just bumped the lead and it wobbled. This solution left over from the zinc galvanic cell holds bubbles. So I'm wondering, because of the electrolysis going on, it's zinc sulfate and copper sulfate. We're taking the copper and the zinc out of it. We're getting sulfur, which could be turning to maybe sulfuric acid perhaps, because look at those bubbles. That's just weird. I'm going to get some pH testers and check it. Alright, I'll let this run and I'll get back when it's around about 0.49 volts. Okay, we're just done it and we got 9 minutes 54 seconds. So not much of an improvement for an hour's charge. That's somewhat up, still running, but still, that's the test cut off. I'll try the larger cell and see if we get a longer run time. It's untreated, just plain carbon. And doesn't seem to be anything on that cell. Okay, we get 1 volt. What about a short circuit with the larger cell? 60 milliamps. Huh. Probably runs at 0.5. It's a larger piece. Alright, well I'll give this one an hour straight up as a charge. I think I really will have to dope the positive plate with copper. That'll be next. So connecting 2 volt charge. We're not high in milliamps. We'll try increasing. Oh, what's happening? We're really low on voltage. Ah. Yeah, might help. It wasn't connected to the load. It was the motor. Alright, here we go. Connecting the charge. That's better. 160. Alright. Alright, I'll be back in an hour and we'll see if the larger surface area does anything. Okay, it's only been half hour. I don't think an hour's very good on this cell, going by what the last results anyway, so we'll do half hour. Let's reset this timer. So this test has the larger carbon cell as the positive, disconnecting, dropping down around about the same speed as it normally does. It will go to 1, I reckon, eventually. So we'll test the load out. See if we get anything extra. We haven't got past the 10-minute barrier yet. Same milliamps as the small cell, 60. It's around about the same as the carbon and the zinc cell we tested in the last lot of experiments. So the carbon coated in zinc seems to be holding up. and the other one's just acting as a piece of carbon, as it is. We'll do the zinc carbon and the copper and carbon cell. This cell's still valid, still pretty solid in there. Probably may need soaking for a while, but we'll do a half-hour charge and compare this with this one. We're still high though, 0.9 volts and 1 minute, 43 milliamps. Alright, I'll let this one run and hopefully I'll get back before it's 0.49. Well, somewhat missed it for about 10 minutes and 30 seconds. So they're around about the same, so could be something to do with the contact, they're not that well made. Yeah, for testing, we'll sanity check, we'll try the other one, we're getting good results out with a zinc plate. So we'll see if we get the same results with this cell. We're up at 1.2 already. The copper carbon cell is actually good. What do we got for a load in a short circuit? 30 milliamps. That runs that, sort of. Alright, I'll reset the clock. Alright, I'll give this one a half-hour charge, and it's still blowing bubbles. Might need to soak in some electrolyte. It's been sitting around for about a couple of weeks, I think. Alright, we'll charge it anyway. We might not be wet, we're only getting 32 milliamps. Alright, we'll see how that goes. Maybe I should bump it up a little bit, just past the 2 volts. Oh no, I'll leave it there. Won't wreck the test. That one may need longer, so alright, I'll get back in a half hour. Okay, it's a half hour for the graphite copper carbon electrode and zinc carbon electrode. Disconnecting the load, or the power supply I should say. Resetting the timer. Now we've dropped down to 1.78. Connecting the motor. Oops. Hard to say if the zinc and carbon cell's performing well enough. I know that electrode, the copper and carbon one, with a zinc plate worked well. This one's a bit of a test cell. It's made the liquid a bit dirty. Alright, I'll get back when this runs out. We'll see what time we got. Okay, it's a half-hour run time so far, and we're still at 0.5 volts, so the copper cell is holding up really well with the zinc and carbon. In fact, it's performing the same as a plate of zinc. So the copper electrodes already had the 20 charges with the other zinc cell, which got consumed. So I'm thinking, because it's in the carbon structure, it should stay in there and we should be able to achieve a few more charges, maybe. And we're still at 0.5 and 22 milliamps. That's not too bad, really. It's a bit better than just plain carbon. So the next story is to coat this with some copper with electrolysis. I'll do the small one first. Also want to see if urea in the mixture is going to do anything. As long as it doesn't form, what is it? Zinc nitride. Not sure. I think you need heat to do that, but it could be done with electrochemical, maybe. So I might charge this one up again. It's actually ready for the data logger. I'll charge it for an hour on 2 volts, and then we'll do a data log power curve of it. And its bounce back is not too bad, 0.8. And a short circuit, 44 milliamps. Connecting it to the charge. We're drawing a bit more now, 85 instead of 30. I think the copper one might need more soaking, but probably okay. It ran alright then. Alright, so I'll be back in an hour. I'll connect the data logger and then we'll do a graph. Okay, we're at an hour's charge. Now, I'll just stop the timer. Fire up the data logger program. Last time we ran the cell like this, it was a solid plate cell, and we were getting an hour and a half run time on 30 milliamp load for around about 20 charges until the plate disintegrated. I'll connect the data logger. I think that was at 0.22 volts as well as a cutoff. And I'll set 30 milliamps for the load. Alright, we'll disconnect the battery charger. And we're 1.8 and dropping. And we'll start the test. I think in some of the other tests we were holding 1 volt for 10 minutes, so it doesn't look like it's going to probably do that. Alright, we're under that. We're not even a minute and we dropped. Alright, I'll get back when that sort of runs out. Okay, it's coming up to, what is it, 54 minutes. It's getting really close to its time. It's only 0.37. Somewhat the same running time as a solid zinc cell the cell's currently got. So the only thing left now is to do 20 charges and see if it holds out. Alright, I'll put it through its cycles. I'll save the charts and I'll stick them on the end of the video it'll probably take a few weeks. Alright, thanks for watching. Hi there, this is the 15th charge. It's been about a week and a half. I can only do a couple of charges a day. It's been running now for 4 minutes, and it's sort of, the cell holds 1.5 hours charge, but about 2 cells ago I started charging it with 3.5, which some sort of started separating the copper. Don't know if you can see that, but right at the bottom a lot of copper came out at the 3.5 volts for an hour mark, and I think it sometimes shorts itself out, that copper. The carbon coated zinc electrode is holding up quite well. The zinc plate is totally dissolved by the 20th charge. It's starting to fall apart, but we've got 5 more charges to go to get to 20 with this cell. And this was charged at 1.8 or something volts. It goes up to 2 after an hour. But the last charge before this, it only ran for, I think it was 30 minutes. I've kept the graphs, and it was all sort of staggered in an area for some reason. It doesn't like, you don't get extra power out of it for doing the 3.5 volt charge. Alright, I'll get back after the 20th. Hi there again. We made it for the 20th charge on the zinc electrode. This is the, oh, you can barely see that. What's going on there? Alright. I think the copper in the other electrode, the positive electrode, is splitting out and it's earthing out, and it sort of gets somewhat a bit better. But she's dying. We're only getting, for the last 5 charges, we're only getting a half-hour run, which is probably around about 12 milliwatt hours or something, or less. I think it's due to the copper cell electrode. This copper electrode here has had 40 charges on it, and then the other day I thought I'd try 3.5 volts, which seemed to have separated all of the copper out of the cell. If you can see it floating around there, I think it earths out, and that's why we get that voltage drop and that irregular shaped graph. We're coming to an end actually. 20 minutes nearly. Oh, it's still at 0.5 though. So I'll put that copper cell in and see if it performs back to a 1 hour or 1.5 hour run. And then we can sort of say that the copper cell disintegrated this time. Copper has plated on the carbon zinc electrode though, for some reason. Alright, I'll be back. Back again with testing the theory that the copper and carbon electrode has ran out of copper or something. So I've replaced it with the square piece of copper, and we've just come up to an hour's charge. So I'll stick this back in its cradle. Stop the timer. We haven't gone over 2 volts yet. I think if you go over 2 volts, it starts destroying the copper electrode. Okay, that's with the charger off, and got all the parameters. We've got 30 milliamps, and cutoff is 20.22 volts. And hopefully this runs for an hour and a half, and that may prove that the zinc electrode is okay, and it was just the carbon, the carbon and copper electrode, the positive, that has deteriorated after that one had 40 charges that was left over from the last experiment. So here we go. Oh, maybe not. What happened? Data logger's playing up again. Try again. Nope. Okay, disconnect. So annoying. Now to fix this, you have to pull the plug on the data logger. Wait a little bit, plug it back in. Don't know if it's the software or the logger itself or just the laptop. Okay, we'll connect. Whoop. COM port 7 this time, it was 8 last time. Alright, set parameters. $30 milliamps. And here we go, take 2. Yep, alright, that fixed it. We're on our way. Alright, we got a flat line at 0.9 volts and dropping. It was holding 0.8 for about an hour. So it does look like it's okay. The zinc carbon cell, negative cell, could be still okay, and it was the carbon, this electrode that's collapsed. A lot of copper is at the bottom of that container at the moment. And while we're waiting, I'll show you the tub that we did the galvanic cell test in with the copper sulfate and the zinc sulfate. Most of the copper's at the bottom with some zinc there as well, but this has been sitting around for a week and a half. The particle size looks around about the same size, but you watch the amount of bubbles that come out of there. That just generates bubbles. So there must be some sort of energy locked up in there. But the liquid doesn't seem to be dissolving any more than it was. And so far that cell's holding up not too bad. We're still at the 0.8 and it's 2 minutes. So it's looking good for the zinc cell actually. The zinc carbon structured cell electrode. Alright, I'll get back when this discharges. Hi there. This is the test where we swap the electrode with a flat cell electrode for the positive. We're only getting 29 minutes. We're pretty much out because we've dropped past the 0.2 watts anyway, so the test is complete. But for a comparison on the cell size though, the one we substituted it for, oops, is totally unproportional with the carbon on it compared to this one. So what I was thinking is I'll put this one back in and try a zinc plate for the other side instead of the carbon, and that should probably tell us a bit better. So for the carbon cell, sort of somewhat lost all of its pauses. That's the side what was facing it, and the non-facing side still lumpy and holy. But see the copper plating also all around it? The copper comes when it's discharging and the zinc plates over the top of the copper, I think, on a charge, which is maybe hindering it. Alright, I'll swap electrodes and give it an hour's charge and see if we get a better graph. Hi again, looks like changing the zinc electrode has fixed the issue. We're at 1 hour and 1 hour, say 0.7 still, so it's going to continue how it was originally going. So it looks like the zinc cell here has failed for some reason. I think it's all because it's got lots of copper over it and somewhat blocked a bit. But I'll swap out the electrolyte and put some new stuff in, and I'll give the carbon chip electrode zinc one another charge and see if that's the issue. Okay, I'll be back. Well, I replaced the electrolyte. I'm not sure if it was the replacing of the electrolyte or getting rid of the copper particles out of the electrolyte, which has done it. But the it's 44 minutes run time, and we're at 0.6. So and that's with the original carbon coated zinc cell and the carbon and copper graphite rod set electrode. Alright, that probably covers this experiment. I think I'll keep this cell charging up and I'll keep it under 2 volts and see how many we get out of it. But it did survive its 20 charges, so thumbs up to the electrode. Alright, thanks for watching.